In recent developments, there's significant speculation surrounding a potential private deal between President Biden and Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Some are even suggesting that they may have made a deal with the devil. So, who are we referring to here, and how might this impact you? Stick around as I break down the details. First, you should know that this speculation centers around the possibility of President Biden agreeing to a government funding bill that includes spending cuts, additional funding for Ukraine, and extra stimulus for the American people. Yes, you heard that right, and the answer is, it's possible. But let's dive into the specifics. This all comes on the heels of the recent government funding deal, and in the past week, President Biden seemed confident that Congress would come together to pass such a bill. Speaker Kevin McCarthy, on the other hand, was adamant that Republicans would only support a bill if it contained spending cuts, stricter border policies, and no additional funding for Ukraine. Strangely enough, spending cuts and stricter border policies didn't make it into the final bill, and additional funding for Ukraine was also left out. What's even more surprising is that Speaker Kevin McCarthy put a Democratic bill on the House floor, and it passed with majority Democratic support, not Republican. So did President Biden and Speaker McCarthy make a secretive backroom deal? Well, President Biden's recent statement adds fuel to this speculation. When asked whether he could trust Speaker McCarthy for the next funding deal, President Biden hinted at a deal regarding Ukraine, saying, "We just made one about Ukraine." This has led to widespread speculation and some confusion, raising questions about whether they cut a deal for Ukraine funding. If such a deal were struck, it could potentially satisfy some of the Democrats' agenda while giving Republicans part of what they want. In return, President Biden might be tasked with getting Democrats on board to protect Speaker McCarthy's speakership if Republicans come after it. This speculation is not without some basis, as interviews, statements, and certain facts lend weight to this theory. The potential deal could include spending cuts which align with Republican priorities, but the extent of these cuts remains uncertain. It might also involve funding for Ukraine, a key Democratic concern. The exact amount allocated to Ukraine and the extent of the spending cuts are still unclear. Many lawmakers are debating whether the spending cuts would offset the Ukraine funding, with some suggesting a 50% balance. Another crucial aspect of this speculated deal is Speaker McCarthy privately asking President Biden for support to keep his speakership intact when challenged by Republicans like Matt Gaetz. In exchange for getting a Democratic bill through the House, Speaker McCarthy might have asked for Democratic support to ensure his speakership remains secure. Republicans might view this as a deal with the devil, while Democrats might feel the same way about President Biden. This leads us to a critical question. Did President Biden and Speaker McCarthy secretly make a deal on Ukraine funding? The answer remains uncertain, but we'll likely find out soon. The important takeaway is that this could potentially help both parties achieve their respective agendas and prevent a government shutdown, which looms just 43 days away. But there's more on the horizon. Beyond government funding and political maneuvering, there's another form of stimulus potentially in the pipeline. It involves student loan forgiveness, an issue that has been receiving renewed attention. The Biden administration recently announced its intention to provide additional relief for borrowers unlikely to repay their loans within a reasonable time frame. This relief could extend to those with substantial student loan debt due to interest, people with very old student loans, and those facing financial hardship. Financial hardship can encompass various situations, from buying a house to personal tragedies, job loss, or pay cuts. The administration seems to be taking a step-by-step approach to address the student loan debt issue, and experts anticipate more student loan forgiveness measures in the coming year. As always, I'll keep you updated with the latest news and developments. If you found this information helpful, please consider subscribing to stay informed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.